Hello, North County, San Diego. I am Kelly Davis, and this is Imagine Politics. Welcome to our inaugural episode where we share news, resources, and information for North County, San Diego to get people excited about politics again in a good way. So today is the day I said, you know what? We should have had our ballots by now. We need to make sure that we're all registered to vote. Where do we go? How do we do that? And we'll also be going over a couple of propositions. That's Proposition 36 and Proposition 6 on this particular episode. So, first thing first, Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th. So, you got to make sure that you have a plan of action to vote. But before you do that, you got to make sure that you're registered to vote. And the last day to register to vote is this upcoming Monday. That's Monday, October 21st, is the absolute last day to register to vote. So you're thinking to yourself out there, if you haven't received your ballots or you're wondering what's going on, am I registered? Or if you know that you're not registered, one of the first things you can do is go to our Secretary of State website and be able to register to vote. So Dr. Shirley Weber, there it is right there, has a nice little website. It says California Online Voter Registration, and you can select your language. And if we can scroll down a little bit for me, so we can kind of walk through this. It has a couple of areas. It's registered to vote now, pre-register to vote, and check your registration status. So if you click on register to vote, and those are for people who absolutely just are like, I know I am not registered to vote. I'm new to California. I'm a returning resident. I need to register to vote. So what you will go to, there'll be a screen that you can go to, and it's an application. And we'll show that in a minute, but there's an application that you can do. All of this is online. So this is a great area, our Secretary of State, to fill out. Another place that you can register. There we go. Just wanted to show you this really quick here. This is a voter registration application, and it'll ask you some questions here. So once you go to that first site I told you about, it then takes you to this site. So I wanted to make sure that you had that as well. And thank you. Another amazing resource that we have is also sdvote.com here in San Diego County. But I also wanted to share three things you should have received yet. You should have received by now. One is our general election guide. Now, let's not confuse. Ballot is one thing. Well, there's our ballot, but the voter registration, this general election guide. And what I love about it, right here on the back, it shows you some really important dates. Remember, Monday, October 21st, last day to register. And in this guide is more about the props. And again, we're going to be talking about two props, very specific, Prop 36 and Prop 6. But this one will go over. The first part gives you like this very general, like quick guide to the propositions. And then towards the back of the book, it will give you the rest of those proposition in a little bit more in depth. This one here is like my favorite. This is a sample ballot. So I want to make sure that you don't have that confused with the ballot that we just showed you there. That is your official ballot. But what I like about having this one here is you can make mistakes in this one. And it has some amazing registration. Like I said, you certainly can go on Dr. Weber, the Secretary of State. You can certainly go on the Secretary of State website. But this is really geared towards our area in North County. See this? It says official ballot drop boxes, and it shows where they are. It shows voting center locations in this sample ballot. And then, yes, of course, it has in this particular pamphlet here, it has like your sample. You'll see it here. It says sample. I don't know if it's coming up on the screen there, but it shows like this is a presidential who's running for president in our general elections. They'll show that on this side here. So those two are wonderful information guides. If you're like, you know what, I don't know the measures, I'm not sure what's going on, and then you go, am I registered to vote? SD.org. Can we put that up there? SD.org is another place, just like the Secretary of State here in California. SD.org is another great, SDvote.com. Please, there it is right there. SDvote.com is another place that you can go to check your voter registration status if you're like, okay, not sure. I moved. And it's also a place that you can change your political party affiliation. You can change your name. You can change your address. If we could put the sdvote.com up, that would be great. So we can kind of walk through what that site looks like. And you see, so when you come up to sdvote.com, there's this box that says vote registration. I think it's because we kind of jumped the gun here, but it takes you to this, check your voter registration status. And then when you do that, what I like about that, other boxes come up, and you can even check your elected, who's already your elected officials, information. Okay, there it is. That is actually Shirley Weber. That's the Secretary of State. We went back to that, which is fine as well. But either one of those, either sdvote.com or our Secretary of State website will also give you that. And then when you can also check your voter registration status at sdvote.com. We also have at sdvote.com, if you've already submitted your ballot by mail, because remember, ballots went out October 5th. And if you already received your ballot, you already filled it out, and you're already wondering what happened to it, where is it? Also on sdvote.com. If we could show sdvote.com, this is the one that tells you the different tabs here. Let me go ahead and put on my glasses so I can make sure I can walk you through this. You got the voter information, you got vote centers, you got voter information pamphlets, and your elected representatives. Those are the ones that we've already elected to office. And then right here, you just put your home address number, your birth date, and your zip code, and it should come up. And that way you will be able to see if you have registered to vote or not, your elected officials, and all that good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about planning a plan of action, because it's one thing to vote, but if you have not mailed in your ballot yet, you can either do it by mail, which is right now. You can go to a drop-off location. Libraries are a great resource for that. A lot of our libraries are also voting locations. And then you can actually go the day of to a polling place, a voting center, for you to go ahead and do it the day of. But what's most important, if you don't hear me say anything, make a plan. Make a plan of action to vote. How are you going to do it? And make that decision, because what is it? Monday, the 21st, that's the last day to register. So that's why I'm providing some resources for you to check that out. The other thing about making that plan of action, there's a lot of ballot parties. I just saw that the North San Diego Women's March, I know they have a ballot party coming up. There's a ballot party coming up October 19th. That's Saturday, October 19th at the Brown Cup Cafe and Lounge. That's like right adjacent to the Oceanside Downtown Public Library. That's October 19th from 5 to 7. There'll be a ballot party. So my plan of action, we're going to make it a whole family day. My husband, my parents, and I, we're going to go down to that ballot party, and we're going to bring our ballot. So I'm going to show you again. You can take your sample ballot if you want, or take your official ballot. It is a nonpartisan ballot party. There'll be food being served. It will be a great time. I jokingly say that Tony's mom's going to be there. We had our last ballot party and we had a good time getting to know each other. And we discussed things like, how do you pick your judge? How do you do all of this? How do I know who's who? So again, that ballot party is another opportunity. There's also on the last day of voting, again, that's October 21st, Monday, October 21st, the last day to register, last day to register to vote. There's going to be an online civic engagement, voter education, nonpartisan event virtually. And I'll be sharing that as well in along this video, all these great resources. And then of course, Jimmy Figueroa, he's having a community engagement event on Saturday, October 26th. If you need help with your ballots, then please bring them down. And again, it is a non-partisan event, meaning you come down, bring your ballot. There'll be resources. There'll be people telling you about different propositions and such. I know I'll be there with a booth. I'm an Initiate Justice Action member, so I'll be there with Initiate Justice Action and with our scorecard that particular day. Now, back to the propositions and the measures. I worked with two wonderful people, Vanessa Rojas and Timothy Jackson. They are two of our returning residents that really wanted to put out some really great information about Proposition 36 and Proposition 6. And in just a moment, I'm gonna roll that video, but I do want to comment a little bit of Proposition 36 because I really felt that there has been a lot of misinformation out there. There's been a lot of sort of sensationalizing with showing these commercials, all these snatching and grabbings and such. But what Prop 36 really speaks to, I went to a forum and I heard one of our elected officials, I think this person slipped up and said, yeah, it's supposed to help with rehabilitation and get our homeless off the street. That's when my spidey senses went up. And I said, this is really not about trying to rehabilitate. This is about looking at our houseless community with condemnation instead of compassion, because there is no infrastructure. They said it right there in that meeting. They want to rehabilitate, but there's no place for them to go yet. But they just want to kind of put this Prop 36 out. Let's just get it out there. So where are they going to go? Prison or jail, and that's just going to lead to more mass incarceration. But you know what? I'm going to let Timothy Jackson and Vanessa Rojas talk to you a little bit more about Prop 36 and Prop 6. Hang on.
Hello, everybody. Hello, good people. My name is Vanessa Rojas, and I am a resident of North County, San Diego.
And I'm Timothy Jackson, and I'm also a resident of North County, San Diego.
And we're here today to talk to you about 36 and 6.
Prop 36 and Prop 6.
Absolutely. So I think this is a really serious election, and these ballot measures are really important. And I think there's some misconception, misleading information. So we just want to share what we know about Prop 36 first, and then we'll get into Prop 6. Prop 36, there's a lot of misleading information out there. And Prop 36 will roll back some of the measures of Prop 47, which is a proposition that I directly benefited from. So what Prop 36 is going to do, it's going to divert funds from crime prevention programs. It impacts mental health, housing, and educational resources. It threatens community safety by defunding critical services. It is a very misleading proposition. It is funded by special interest retailers, DAs, and prison guard associations. So they're basically the ones that are going to benefit the most from this proposition. It's motivated by profit and not public safety. So we don't want to put profit over people. As a community, we believe in rehabilitation. It undermines community well-being for corporate gain. And the impacts on crime and crises is Prop 36 worsens crime, homelessness, and the fentanyl crisis. It shifts funds away from successful prevention programs. $15 billion annually is already spent on prisons and not community needs. And right now, it costs roughly $135,000 annually to keep somebody incarcerated. So that's where your tax dollars will be going. Prop 36 brings back mass incarceration. Corporations and special interests benefit at the expense of communities. Support real solutions and reject harmful policies. And as a person who comes from a marginalized community, I believe that this is a very dangerous proposition if it's passed. And my position is I'm definitely voting no on Prop 36. Timothy, do you have anything to add?
I mean, as Vanessa said, this is a very, very, very important proposition that can shift quality of living for a lot of individuals battling with certain, certain issues. This would criminalize a lot of individuals who may be suffering from homelessness. They ultimately just need treatment, or they ultimately just need engagement of another kind other than just being criminalized for something that they're unable to overcome on their own. Like I said, whether it's a lifestyle that they've chosen, or whether it's a mental health condition. It seems one of the aspects of this prop is to aim at individuals who are homeless. And what seems to be leveraged is if we could criminalize the situation, it would help, which I think that what Prop 47 did for a lot of individuals that may not be being talked about is address those issues. And so I think a lot of the things that Prop 36 is highlighting as far as wanting people to vote for, it's not clearly being addressed.
Absolutely. And I think what they're doing is they're like kind of sensationalizing these situations. I mean, everybody's affected by the fentanyl crisis. And as a person who was formerly addicted to drugs, opiates in particular, punishment didn't do anything for me. I came in contact with addiction through my trauma. And I think the main thing is we need to address the trauma and not punish people for having experienced trauma through that trauma, coming in contact with crime and addiction.
Right.
So I think that, recently we attended an educational forum at one of the local community colleges. And the narrative that was being shared was that there's treatment available for these individuals. And when we asked the questions, where are they going to go? They really didn't have an answer. So there really is no infrastructure in place. And right now the carceral system is crumbling apart. There's not enough room. And I think that even in there, we're going to get into Prop 6. So like basically Prop 6, we want to end involuntary servitude. And I know you're going to touch on that. But so if we put these people in prison, how is their needs going to get addressed? How is their trauma going to get addressed? How is the root cause going to get addressed when we're forcing people to work and not focus on rehabilitation through involuntary servitude?
Right.
So I think that now would be a good time to kind of shift into Prop 6, but I do want to give a shout out to IJ Action for helping us with these slides.
Awesome. Yeah, and so we're gonna just let you, view a video. It won't take that long, but check out the video, and then we'll be back.
The history of slavery in California's prison system is directly tied to racial capitalism, white supremacy, and the subjugation of Black and Indigenous people. Although California no longer uses the public auction block, our current prison system still practices slavery under the guise of involuntary servitude, which is simply slavery by another name. This euphemism does not hide the fact that slavery in any form is an evil institution and has no place in California or anywhere else for that matter. It also doesn't hide the fact that the vast majority of people forced and coerced to labor in today's prison slave system are Black or have Indigenous ancestry. Last November, voters in 4 states, including Alabama, y'all, approved ballot measures that changed their state constitutions to prohibit slavery and involuntary servitude as punishment for crime. It's imperative that this legislature allow California voters the opportunity to reject slavery in all its forms now and forever.
every time I watch that video, my heart just beats, and it kind of like races, because the reality of what's taking place, it goes so much more deeper than I think a lot of us understand. with this, going after something that's directly associated within our Constitution, that shouldn't be there in the first place. It's something, it surprises me that not that many people know about this prop. And so real quick, I just shouts out to you. I think it's
Johnny Vasquez.
and Sam Brown, right?
Yes.
Sam Brown, for you made a count with this. I mean, this was something that has gone on way too long, for individuals who have been incarcerated, and individuals who are family members of those who are incarcerated or have been incarcerated, have suffered from this way too long. But that which parallels the suffering, there's a lot of people who have benefited from this, and they should benefit no longer. As you see, this slide, it expresses all the more the reality of what should be prioritized, and rehabilitation is not necessarily being prioritized by forcing individuals to work. By removing the forcing people to work, it gives individuals an opportunity to choose how they navigate not only just their rehabilitation, but their incarcerated reality.
It's interesting, Timothy, because I remember when I was incarcerated, we were not allowed to call in sick for work. If we were sick, we still had to go to work. And a lot of work is prioritized over rehabilitative programs. And most of these people are going to come into our communities. And who do we want living next to us? We want people who are rehabilitated. We don't want people leaving prison with more trauma.
And that's typically what happens. Not to mention, the triggers that a lot of individuals who are formerly incarcerated have to fight through, just stepping back into the workforce out here, being forced to work inside of an incarcerated situation, and not necessarily being given the equal choice to choose education or to choose a trade. Once you step out into society again, you almost approach the workforce with the perspective of feeling forced to, for survival, or to keep from finding yourself in a punitive situation or circumstances. And so, yeah, Prop 6 is just one of those propositions that's going to shift the culture of reentry. I mean, individuals being able to reentry with the agency of knowing that they were able to navigate their institutionalized situation, or not institutionalized situation, but their incarcerated situation, which sometimes, when you have to battle against being forced to work or involuntary servitude, it can lead to an institutionalized mentality, leaving out of the institution. And so this is just one of those opportunities that you have as a community to make reentry for an individual that has to navigate those circumstances, give that agency back to an individual. A lot of us just don't navigate that reality with agency. It's almost kind of stripped from you from the moment you step into the situation. And so once again, shouts out to Sam Brown for just allowing your circumstances to push you into a situation to write this bill, and then everyone else that's come alongside and fostered this to where it's gotten to the point that it is now, that it's up, and it can be voted for. I wanted to share that, like, California is one of only 16 states left with this thing of involuntary servitude still being practiced, and it should be practiced no more.
One thing I also wanted, when you brought up reentry, it just came to my mind that a lot of people in reentry leaving prison in the state of California do not know that they have their voting rights reinstated. So we urge all the returning citizens to get registered to vote. And you can go to votecalifornia.gov, or you could go to Secretary of the State website to register to vote. We need everybody to vote. Every vote counts. And we need to vote on these measures that help our communities and don't punish our communities. We need to vote people into office who are not there to harm us, but to help us.
And then it came to mind, www.vote yesprop6.com if you want to learn more about Prop 6.
And so the last thing I think what I want to say is we are going to be compliments of IJ Action. We're going to be having a ballot party coming up on October 19th. And the address is going to be below on the screen. It's at the Brown Cup Cafe at 401 North Coast Highway, Suite 105 in Oceanside, California. Bring your ballots with you. We're going to have informative information there. We're going to have scorecards. We're going to have voter guides. And so we want to make our informed decision with these tools that are going to be available to us. Compliments of IJ Action. Timothy, you got anything else?
Yeah, just come out. Make yourself available to be poured into. There's a lot of information out there that's, I think, misrepresenting what both of these props stand for. And by attending opportunities like what Vanessa just communicated, you can definitely run into a network that could help you to be more informed. Hopefully what we were able to share today was helpful. And we're definitely grateful for you being a part of this community. And yeah, peace to you all.
We look forward to seeing you at the ballot party. Anybody and everybody's welcome to come. We're gonna eat. There's gonna be food. There's gonna be beverages, and we're gonna just make informed decisions as a community. So let's come together and do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Vanessa, Rojas, and Timothy Jackson. One of the things that I really, and thanks to Venus Johnson, my very young campaign manager in 2020, in case if you all remember it or not, I ran for office in 2020 for Oceanside City Council District 3. And one of the propositions that at that time was Prop 17, which gave our formerly incarcerated community, our returning residents, who are on parole, the opportunity to vote. And since then, I just, continued with these amazing people. And as you hear, the passion that they have with coming back into the community and being of service. So I really do appreciate. So before I go, what's the most important thing I can say here? October 21st, that's Monday, is the last day to register. Make a plan to vote. I'm doing mine at a ballot party. You can choose to go into a voting center the day of, a polling place, or you can mail those ballots in and go on to sdvote.com and track your ballot. But whatever you do, make a plan of action. This election is just too important. Well, I'm Kelly Davis. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining this inaugural episode of Imagine Politics.